Cheaper than our producer's underage sister. Edgier than the stuff shown on late night television. Newer than Kim Kardashian's ex. Live from Orlando, it's Crazy Train Radio.
Hey everybody, it's Marc Summers from Food Network and, of course, Nickelodeon, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio. Thank you.
Hey folks, as we told you recently in the past week or so, we actually have someone from the past, but who's also quite current because of his job or his jobs with Food Network. Marc Summers. Marc, what's going on?
Oh, a lot of things. Life is good, been busy, continue to work, and that's the good news.
Yeah. Working is always good, but first and foremost, before we talk about your producing side of things with the Food Network and all that, have to ask you, how is your health?
Well, you know, it's doing really good. You know, I'm assuming you were talking about my car accident about a year ago. August 10th, I was in a really bad cab accident and broke every bone in my face, which I don't recommend to anybody. And I've had 2 surgeries, may have 1 more to go. Still dealing with some numbness in my face, and, you know, titanium is still there, kind of keeping it together and stuff like that. But, you know, the good news is I'm alive and well and back at it. So it was a pretty scary couple of months, but, you know, things are looking up.
Well, obviously you said looking up, which is always a good thing, but I know you had mentioned in other outlets such as The View and whatnot that you had some issues with your one eye where most of the impact was. How is that vision?
You know, not great. I've been to a couple of specialists. I went to one who said that if I did an operation, it may be causing more damage than what I currently have, so they wouldn't recommend it. I'm going to a couple of more specialists to get a few more opinions, but the operation is kind of touch and go. I had an ACL replaced once, and I don't know if you know how that whole thing works, is they take human body parts and they try and guess the length of what it should be, and then you have to go to physical therapy where they stretch it out. The same thing happens with the eye. They literally take the eye out and they have to cut the muscle and they kind of guess at it. And so, you know, the leg is one thing, but the eye is something else. So I have to, at some point, I guess, make a decision, do I want to do that or not? But, you know, I really can't complain after what I went through. If that's the worst part of it, you know, I'm pretty thankful that I'm in the shape I'm in.
Obviously, with that as well, and I mentioned an interview you did with The View before we changed topics. You mentioned about one of the big safety groups in the country asked you to be a part of trying to help improve things as far as, I guess, public trans and cabs and all that. What's the latest on that?
They dropped me simply because when I went on The View and mentioned that I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, they got all bent out of shape. And the reality of it is that was the whole point. Although, here's what the deal was. There are no laws for the partitions in cabs. There's no National Safety Council laws whatsoever. So those things, by the way, are all illegal. And whether you're wearing a seatbelt or not, they're all about anywhere from 8 to 12, at the most 14 inches away. So when I went on the air and said whether I was wearing a seatbelt or not, I would have hit that thing. They didn't like that. So instead of being positive, they went total negative, and so I'm not working with them anymore, which I think is, you know, I'm not here to badmouth them. I think they try to do good stuff. I just think they're not open-minded. And, hey, they're from Indiana, where I'm from, and a lot of times people from there aren't the most open-minded people, so what can I tell you?
We are then. Yeah, we do have some fans and dealt with different people from the Midwest and can see both sides of that.
Yep.
But obviously you are doing a lot of producing nowadays with the Food Network. You've been associated with them for how long now?
Gee, about 14 years. Started off with a show called It's a Surprise. It was a show about surprise parties, and the surprise was nobody was watching, so they canceled it. And that turned into Unwrapped, and Unwrapped is now the longest-running series in the history of Food Network, continually. So it's on Food Network and Cooking Channel. And started producing some specials with High Noon, which was the main producer of Unwrapped. And then I started producing a show called Dinner Impossible and another show called Restaurant Impossible. And I have moved somewhat behind the scenes, although soon to go back in front of the camera early next year. But you know what? I'm just having fun. I always feel like I've never worked a day in my life. And as long as I can stay around the industry and continue to do programming, I'm a happy guy.
Well, obviously you just mentioned about going back in front of the camera. Is that a project you can actually talk about yet?
I can't yet. Maybe in another month I could, but there's a new series coming on, and I'm going to be a part of it, and that's all I can tell you right now. But we did a pilot in July, and you know, it's pretty cool that I'm getting that opportunity again.
Well, I guess I can ask with it, though. Were you happy with how the pilot turned out?
Oh, yeah. It was really good, and apparently the network liked it enough to pick it up, and we're going to do 13 of them. And originally it was going to be on the Cooking Channel, and they've moved it over to Food Network. So, you know, it's all good.
Well, we will definitely have to check in with that as well. The other reason, besides Double Dare and all that, which we will get into, but the thing that really stood out because a listener in the Philadelphia area had emailed us about you because they had heard you on some friends of ours, Preston and Steve.
Oh, yeah, great guys. Great guys.
Oh, yeah, awesome gang. That whole crew there is awesome. But they heard you talking about the Brain Tumor Association that you were helping support. What got you involved with that?
A person who works in my office when I first got here, Natalie Feldman, who still actually works here, Mom was diagnosed with brain tumor, and when I moved here 10 years ago, they gave her a limited time on this planet. Well, I can tell you that here she is 10 years after the fact, still alive and well and doing great. And they asked me to support it in that they felt whatever celebrity aspect I had would bring more people to the table. And so I started doing that a while back and did some public service announcements for them and went to the race and just, you know, went on TV and radio and talked about it. And so now it's become an annual thing and raised about $1 million on that day. The race was last Sunday, I believe it was. And, you know, it's just fun to help other people. You know, if we're lucky enough to have any sort of status to bring more people to the table, that's what you use it for, the old pay it forward situation. And we've done some good stuff, and I'm happy to report that.
Well, that is good because I did reach out to the Brain Tumor Association as well, and they did say the goal was to have about $1 million raised this year just with that function. So that's awesome to hear that they did that.
Yeah, it's cool. And, you know, I'm on the board of Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is about childhood cancer. And same thing, we do an event called the Great Chefs Event, which is in June of every year. And that's another situation where in one night we raise $1 million to go towards research for childhood cancer. The thing I learned about childhood cancer, which is so sad, is drug companies don't spend a lot of time and money on it because there's not a lot of money for them to make. And it's so depressing when you hear that. It's not about saving the patient. It's about dollars and cents, which, you know, can depress you till the cows come home. So I jumped on board on that thing as well, and that's one of my favorite charities.
Obviously, and if I remember correctly, because obviously I know Alex's Lemonade Stand, Alex was from the Philadelphia area as well, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, because obviously there's some more local ties there. Well, I want to get into, obviously, some of your past with both Nickelodeon, because I think recently a book just came out talking about some of the bigger shows called, I believe the book was called Slime.
Slime, correct.
Did you have...
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I lost you for a second there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was asking you about that recent book that came out called Slime. Talking about some of the great shows on Nickelodeon. Did you have any association with that?
Well, I wrote the foreword to the book, and Matt Klickstein, who wrote the book, is now working for me on Restaurant Impossible. I think he did a magnificent job putting a lot of the people back who built the network when it was, as they say, in its golden years. And we did a huge event at the 92nd Street Y about a month ago. Had about 1,000 people show up. And it's remarkable the impact that channel had at that time on so many people.
And obviously things have changed a lot, not just with that network, but all across the board and across the world for sure.
Yep.
But I'm actually curious to know, do you still have a good relationship with them at all, that network, because of the producing things you do now?
I have zero relationship with those people. There is one person in charge who chooses not to interact with me, and so be it. Look, at some point you got to walk away from kids programming as a grown man. I would love to help in some form or fashion, but the reality of it is they're not interested, and that's fine. So we've all moved on. Wish them well and all that kind of stuff, but I have zero to do with that channel, and until this one person disappears, that will probably remain.
Hey, but if good business is good business for everybody involved, you'd like to see people put personal opinions aside. But
yeah,
anyway, the last question, you know how that is, that's why.
I do know how that is, yes.
But the one thing I wanted to ask you before because we know we got to wrap up, was because not only with your association with Preston and Steve, but it seems like we have heard that you've taken that gimmick and gone elsewhere with the drunk Double Dare.
Oh.
What do you think of that, actually?
Well, it's fun. Stephen Starr, who owns many restaurants, maybe about 30 between Florida, New York, Philadelphia, asked me to do it 3 years ago, and as a fluke I said, sure, why not? And it was insane, the reaction we got, and then we did it year 2, and it was even bigger, and we're already sort of plotting year 3. Look, it's people who have great memories about what it is we did. They're all grown up now. They want to have fun. You add fun games with liquor and slime, and how bad can it be? We just are there to have a good time, and that's what we do, and enjoy every moment of it.
Well, would you say that Preston and Steve took the idea for what you were doing with your entrepreneur friend there, or was it the other way around?
Well, I think we probably did. We did Drunk Double Dare initially on Preston and Steve several years back, and I don't know how where the cart and the horse is, but for some reason Philadelphia's been a very lucky city to me. We started Double Dare here. For some reason, the production company that assists in producing a restaurant and Dinner Impossible is based in Philly, and so I've established roots here now after many years, and I love the city. The city's been very kind to me. If I get asked to do stuff, I have a hard time saying no, and it just became what it became. So who did it first? Gosh, I don't even know, and I don't think it's important, but the good news is that everybody seems to enjoy it, and I love walking down the street and having people stop me and talk about, eat days or
Restaurant
Impossible.
Obviously, we know you got to do. Yeah, we obviously know you got a couple other meetings to go to, so we want to thank you for a few minutes joining us, Mark.
All right, hey, continued success. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you.
Can you hold on the line 1 second?
Sure.